Good morning. My name is Florence and I'm the manager of Intercultural Iceland. I'm a sociologist and a teacher's trainer, and I have an article in your conference materials, and I will talk just very shortly about it. The article is about the connection between intercultural education and cooperative learning. We have been teaching teachers and trainers for 20 years now almost about intercultural education and different methods that are useful to reach the aims of intercultural education. The concept intercultural education has changed very much through the years, and it has changed from being some kind of immigrant approach, focusing on deficit and or some kind of integration approach, to an approach where the advantages of diversity are being recognized, where diversity is accepted and respected. How we do this at the same time as we teach our subjects has to do with several things. Of course, everything starts with the attitude of the teacher. A teacher who does not appreciate the diversity in his classroom or in the society will have difficulties to somehow equip the students or his learners with competences and abilities that are needed in a diverse, pluralistic society. He will also have trouble adapting to new teaching methods. If he doesn't understand why should I change anything? What in the society has changed in a way that I need to change the way I interact with my students and teach my subject? Just like every learner, if we don't understand why we should make changes, we don't. If we don't see why we need to learn something, we don't. We can maybe learn it to give it back on an exam, but it doesn't give us any meaning unless we understand why. And that's just the same with teachers. So to really think about what is it that has changed in our society that calls for new ways of educating, it is really the question that everything starts with. We can give teachers as many methods and tools and technique or whatever as we want, but if they do not understand or want to change anything, nothing will really happen. On the other hand, this is not enough for most teachers who are busy people. They are very busy and they are mostly underpaid, so we cannot expect from teachers just to have the answers to all the changes that are happening in the society. Of course, they are specialists in their field, but they also need the opportunity to have time to discuss with each other, to interact with each other, to come up with new ideas, but also to train them and try them out. So the how question is also important. The aims can be wonderful, but how do we reach these aims in our classrooms is a question that I always many times got in my training. So what this article is about is, first of all, why. What is the problem that needs to be addressed or thought of when we are developing new ideas for the education in the 21st century? And then secondly, which methods could be useful? There's not one method that suits every student all the time. There are many methods that are being developed and trained and researched, and we just need to kind of bring them together to find ways to reach our aims. Of course, always coming back to the why question: what do we want to achieve? What is it that we really want for our students in the 21st century? Uh, like I said before, the society has changed very much, and not only with technology and information, but also just in the population. And so this is something that we need to keep in mind when we are teaching our classrooms. Of course, every classroom is a diverse classroom. When we started talking about intercultural education, it was in relation with immigrants and ethnic diversity. But today, intercultural education, the whole concept has changed so much. And today we are focusing on the diversity in general. Because every classroom is multicultural. Every child brings their own culture with them into the school and into the classroom. And this diversity we are considering when we talk about intercultural education. Another concept, anti-racist education, has been less discussed. And what we have done is that we kind of take, well, to start at the beginning, we did, not at the beginning, but a couple of years ago, we did a research here in Iceland about everyday discrimination and everyday racism. And we wanted to find out, it's very difficult to research discrimination and especially attitudes. And so we did a research with a group of immigrants in Iceland, or people with immigrant background, and Icelanders. And we wanted to find out what kind of everyday experience they were experiencing. If they would, for example, experience discriminative behaviors towards them, like if they would on an everyday basis experience disrespect or behaviors that made them feel as being disrespected. If they were talked down to, for example, if they were talked unusually loud to, if they were ignored, if people pretended they didn't exist, if they were called names. These kind of things that if you don't experience them on an everyday level or an everyday basis, you might think they are not so important. But when you experience this kind of behavior on a regular basis as part of your everyday life, just on your way to work or at the bus or in the shop or whatever is part of our everyday life, it's a big problem. And this is something that really, really makes you feel very bad. Most people. Of course, we never can say everybody. But in our study, we asked people to hold kind of a log for 14 days. You can read all about this research on our webpage, ici.is. We asked them to hold like a log for 14 days and just observe if they experienced certain behaviors towards them. And the outcome, in short, was that 93% of people with migrant background experienced something like negative attitude towards them during these 14 days. And some of them even 20 times during 14 days. So this is obviously a problem, and we need to think about how can we teach our students in a way that they learn to appreciate this diversity, that they learn to interact with other people who they may not necessarily know before, but that they, through their learning, learn to appreciate other people's competences, experiences, knowledge, way of life, instead of judging it. And the traditional, and to do that, you need certain competences. You need the social competences, the intercultural competences. You need the competence to listen to other people. You need to be able to communicate and to work with others. You need cooperation skills and communication skills. You need critical thinking, because with all the information we have in the society, without critical thinking, our students may just believe everything they read or see, and that is very dangerous. They also need creative thinking. They also need to be able to think out of the box, to be able to look for other ways than the ways that we know and we teach. They need initiative. They need to be able to think and take initiative and act according to what they have their conclusion. And of course, it's also important that their critical thinking makes them doubt more or less everything that an authoritarian person tells them. Just to think and come to a conclusion without just blindly obeying. To learn this, you cannot learn these competences by sitting and listening. No, that's what we expect students to do in many cases, that they sit and listen and remember what the teacher is telling them. But in that situation, they're not really training any of these competences, and they're not interacting with other people. They're not learning to live with others, so to say. So what can we do? We need to change the way we teach without losing the opportunity for our students to learn something new about the topics and about the subjects. Cooperative learning is an old method, so to say. It has been researched more than any other teaching method. But it can also be practiced in many different ways. And complex instruction is a theory and praxis from Elizabeth Cohen. And this method, or this ideology and methodology, has been a base of what we are teaching when we connect intercultural education and cooperative learning. Cooperative learning is always group work. It always means that students are working with other people, but group work is not always cooperative. So unstructured group work can do more harm than good. And it is very important that we focus on the critical and creative way of using cooperative learning in a very structured way. So what we emphasize on our courses is that we give our students the opportunity to train intercultural competencies in a safe environment where we have created a good atmosphere for them to learn, which is a big part of the process. And then we use very structured methods, cooperative methods, and creative too, where we can influence the status ordering within the classroom, where students get the opportunity to learn and discover and practice all these competencies at the same time as they are learning their subject. But cooperative learning is a complex thing, and after 8 days training course where we are focusing on intercultural education and cooperative learning, that's the starting point. So I don't expect that this short article or this short talk will really reveal the answer. So I will just make that my last words. I will, if you are interested, we are giving these Erasmus Plus courses here in Iceland on a regular basis. So look at our website and you might find a course that you want to attend up here in the north. Thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.